have some scapular, yeah, of course, well, ask her. There's going to be some scapular movement, okay? We can't help that, the arm's moving, but we want to make sure that we don't see any excessive lumbar movement or excessive scapular rotation. All right, so I've notated that in my mind. Now I'm going to have you put your arm down here. So how do we figure out this axis at the shoulder joint? I mean, we can come up here, you can look at the GH joint or the acromion, but that's going to be difficult to place the axis of rotation. So the easiest thing for me is to bring the arm out to the side a little and find that indentation, which is essentially right where the humerus comes into the shoulder girdle. And then that becomes my axis of rotation. I'm not going to do this because that'll make it very difficult to move. So I'm going to hold it like this. If my stationary arm, and don't worry, you are going to get a chance to do this too. So if my stationary arm moves, all I need to do is move it back so it's parallel to here, plain and simple. The movement arm will move as her arm moves. So what I'm actually going to do is, rather than do this, I'm going to hold this with this hand, and I'm going to guide her arm through the movement. And this is why. When somebody has limited flexion, what they tend to do, they get to a certain point and they go into abduction to finish the movement. So we are going to pretend that there is somewhat of a glass wall that she cannot come out to the side. At the same time, I need my client looking up at the ceiling, I need their knees bent, and I'm visually watching her back. So we've got a number of things that are going on, but this is the least of your concern as far as reading it until you're done, okay? So, we want the thumb pointing up, the arm is close to the body. Now when you get to somebody who's a large person or they have big muscles, their arm is naturally going to be out further. You just do the best you can and you do the same thing every single time. Okay, so I get my axis of rotation. Always make sure the movement arm is on the outside or you're going to go through it and you won't be able to read it. This is not the best of three. Remember, your client is probably not comfortable doing this, so we want to minimize the amount of time this takes to do it. So when you're ready, dear, let's raise your arm up slowly, because I don't want them to go faster than I can go. I'm watching her back. Okay, right there you see the elevation in the rib cage. So I stop her right there. I make sure this is level. I take this to the elbow, and I'm supporting her arm here so that if she is hurting, I'm taking the pressure off, and then I'm going to have her relax as soon as possible. I went to the middle of her arm because if you take a guy who's got a big arm or a large woman or whatever, that could be 10 degrees difference either way. So now we look at this number right here. So you are 153 degrees. So we look at the norm up there and it says 150 to 180. So she's within normal range of motion. So at least on this arm, if I wanted to put weight in her hand to do a pullover type exercise, that would be perfectly acceptable if we decided that was an exercise she should do. All right? Now, if it were less than 135, so 90% of the lowest number, then she's not ready to do weight-bearing exercise on that arm. So just for kicks and giggles, let's do the other side now.